Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special audio episode of Tea with Abby, the show where we sip and talk the tea about the truth of what it is like to run a business. This season, season 3, we are focusing on partnerships. Brothers, cousins, best friends, husbands, wives, all kinds of partners who've set out to be co-founders and start a business. As someone who runs Blended Sense with my husband, and we also have another couple in our business as well, this is something that I'm very interested in talking to other partners about, the ways that they handle that work-life balance that we're all particularly juggling right now. All right, everyone, I am so excited for today's episode because, as you know, Albert and I are becoming parents. So we are now going to be not only husband and wife co-founders, but also raising a child together. And that is exactly what we're talking about today on this episode featuring Gerald and Candice Youngblood of Tankee. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing today?
Really, really well.
We're
Thank
doing
you so
well,
much, Abby.
thanks. And congrats, by the way, on your upcoming baby. That's exciting.
Thank you so much. We are excited. As I have learned about Tanki, there's a very strong influence on the child that you are raising together and why this company exists. You have created an incredible platform that puts kids first, and it's a safe gaming platform for digital entertainment for children between the ages 6 and 12. As someone who lives with a gamer, I know exactly what you guys are talking about. And can you just enlighten us a little bit on exactly what Tanki does and why they do it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, our whole company was really based on what we were experiencing at home with our son and how different his media consumption is from the way that we grew up. And so Tanki is a media company that's really built for the on-demand generation. So kids now want content when they want it. And one of the most popular types of content is around games. So watching people play Minecraft and Roblox and all kinds of different games. And so we built this media company to create original content and also as a platform to watch the content in a safe space. So Tanki is available both as an app and even now as a streaming TV station on various different platforms. So mobile on iOS and Android, and also on TV as well.
Wow, congratulations. So when we are referring to like this kind of this streaming world, this on-demand entertainment destination for kids, when we say it's a safe place for kids to watch these video game videos, that's a funny thing to say, video game videos. What does that mean? Why does that exist? Like what's the problem that parents face that led you guys to creating Tanki?
Yeah, so our mission and really the company started because we saw that our son was wanting to watch more videos on YouTube or Twitch than watching content on Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel. And for me, my background is in tech and gaming, and so it's one of the ways that I connected with him. But I also realized that if he were watching Nickelodeon, we could walk out of the room and go and do other things, and we were confident he wouldn't get into content he wasn't supposed to see.
Or even ads that were inappropriate. That's one thing that we came across with YouTube is that maybe, it started out innocent and kid friendly, but, I would check in with him and it would be something that, made me take a double look. And so it was important for us to create an environment where kids could do the things that they love, but in a safe environment, and parents could feel confident to step away and go and cook dinner or, do anything that they needed to do and, feel that their kids were safe.
Yeah, and so all the content on our platform is reviewed by an actual human being to make sure that it's totally safe, so that parents can have that confidence in the content, and kids could watch the gaming videos that they love to watch.
Wow. Albert and I were just kind of having this conversation the other day. We were thinking about, how are we going to incorporate technology as parents, and when do we start using a screen? And we both felt very firmly like we don't want to allow it to just become a tool that gets out of hand that we use as an excuse. And just thinking about, oh my gosh, in how many years are we going to have to introduce this child to a phone? Are we going to have a when do we get you a smartphone conversation? And
Yeah. And you're
it's
not alone in that conversation. That's an issue, a major issue with a lot of parents these days. Technology can be a blessing, but it can also be, a hindrance in some aspects. So it's a fine line that, you have to, as a parent, kind of balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think it must be scary and overwhelming to uphold values in your own home and the way you parent, but then not be able to control what the internet throws your way, or your child's way, and that disconnect. And um, parenting, yeah, when I was a kid, I mean, that was not something that my parents ever really thought about, was what was on my computer. I didn't it didn't exist quite yet. So it seems like it's a much trickier place to be a parent these days. um, as we have kind of gone through this pandemic state in the last several months, I can imagine that your company is now, I mean, it's probably even more essential than it ever was before, as parents are working from home and they need a way to safely entertain their kids while they get their work done.
Yeah, it's been interesting. For us, our son basically never went back to school starting the week before spring break, and so the time spent at home has greatly increased, which meant that kids need more to entertain them, and we're really happy to have Tanki be part of that solution. And so yeah, we have definitely seen additional time just spent on the platform. And for us as a company, it's been interesting because it coincided with us expanding our distribution onto different platforms too. So essentially what we saw was in March, we saw a big increase in viewership, and it started to look kind of like summertime traffic. But at the same time, we have really been focused on expanding more into the connected TV space. And so right around that time, we also launched on Comcast Xfinity. And so we saw a real influx in users, there and in Roku and in other platforms. And so, for us, gosh, from February to May, we saw like a 500% increase in watch time on the platform overall.
Wow. I've been trying, as I've had all these conversations, because I've been recording this podcast series throughout the pandemic, and just kind of picking up on the small silver linings that this really unusual state of the world has given us. That seems like one of them there, that you've created something that was hit the timing of what was needed kind of perfectly. What an incredible thing to get to experience.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think for us, it's more, it just accelerated the pace a little bit, but the trend is there, right? I mean, kids are spending more and more time on these devices, and the way we look at it is the more time they spend watching content on Tanki, the less time they're on some other platform where they could run into the wrong things, or hit chat, or all kinds of things that are out there. So we're happy to be that solution, but at the same time, it's a difficult time in the world right now, and so there's a lot of ups and downs, and so yeah, we're looking for silver linings as well.
I think that's kind of the only way to get through right now, which maybe is a great segue into the next part of our conversation, which is what I'm focusing on this season, is talking about this idea of partnerships and running a business with your spouse or someone that you have a very close relationship to outside of your workplace. It's been but all I would say 90% of the time, it is an incredible thing. Sometimes, of course, it gets a little difficult, but there's power in a partnership in your business when you're also co-founders as well. And so the two of you are husband and wife. Gerald, you're the CEO, and Candice, you're the content manager. Um, were you both naturally involved in getting the business started, or how did you begin working on this together?
Yeah, so initially, I was more involved in kicking off the business. So I think this kind of speaks to how our strengths kind of play out in our partnership. And so I deal pretty well in chaos and uncertainty. And as you know, like the beginning of any startup, any real startup should begin with a little bit of chaos and uncertainty. And so so I initially worked with a few people on developing the concept and putting the initial product together. So kind of going from zero to beta, sort of with the product. But Candice actually joined a little bit into the journey and really took over our content review process. And and now her role is really more as the head of content and community for the platform. So once we had a little bit of structure in place, Candice came in and has really built an amazing community that I think she can talk a little bit more about, but also has deepened relationships with our content creators as well.
Yeah, so like Gerald said, he is more of the risk taker. He's more, he deals well with chaos. In the beginning, I loved the concept of Tanki. I thought that this was something that needed to be out there, but I'm not the risk taker. So it was interesting to kind of let go of control and let him follow his passion with no certainty in the issue. So that was my first struggle, but and I think his struggle was, and we've always said our marriage, our family is priority. And so he didn't necessarily want to bring me in because he didn't want it to affect our marriage or our relationship, And so it was, I kind of slowly crept my way in and showed how I can be of value to him. And honestly, I started out, it was a trial 30-day period. I said, let me help you. Like, I have just as much passion now. My background is not in gaming, but I have the passion. My background is in education. So I have a passion for kids and kids' well-being. And so I said, give me a shot. Let's try 30 days. Let's see. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings. No hard feelings, you know?
I think it was about day 3 where I realized I, like in life, could not live without her. so
here we are about a year and a half later, and we haven't discussed renegotiating the deal at any point. But it's been an interesting thing with the pandemic, and like Gerald said, I head content review, and so it's been fun to kind of figure out our content review process and what our standards are as Tanki, and also heading up community. I head up. There's an app called Pop Jam, and it's a social media app for kids, and it's safe. It's they don't ask any personal information or anything like that, similar to Tanki. And so I get to engage with, I think this week we hit 70,000 followers.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so I get to interact with those kids every day, and I get to, you know, talk with them and see what's trending as far as gaming or life in general. We just hit this coming week, we have 50 weeks of fan art. So every week we feature fan art in a video on our app. And so we are almost at a year now that kids have been supporting us and been loving what we're doing. And as far as the pandemic, it's been fun and interesting to interact with these kids and hear their perspective on the pandemic. You
Mm.
know, they're posting about, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay healthy, stay safe. And so it's just been a really, really fun and interesting experience to not only be on the content side, but to get to actually interact with our customers. You know, that has been really enlightening and, satisfying for me.
I can also imagine how motivating it is to continue getting up and working hard every day to continue to build Tanki.
Yeah,
What
especially during this
exactly how it
pandemic.
affects. Yeah.
Especially during this pandemic, because I mean, you're in the same place 24/7 basically, and you tend to lose a little bit of motivation. It's natural, day in and day out. But I see these kids and I hear our customers and how much they love what they're doing and how they love certain influencers or certain games that we're promoting. And it motivates you again. It re-energizes you, and it makes you think, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's been really important to us from the very beginning is to appreciate how much kids have to offer when you listen to them, right? Like, and they're a wealth of imagination, of creativity, and some of the things that we don't love about other platforms is they think they can automate kids' content, or they can put an auto filter out and deliver things. But kids are discerning; they have really great ideas, and so what I've noticed from and what I love about Candice's interaction on Pop Jam is kids feel heard. I think that's been the key to the fan art and all these other things is just allowing them to have their voice heard is super important, and we hope we're kind of paying that forward with Tanki.
It seems like that unless you were married and a family and have your own child, that Tanki wouldn't be able to exist really, because you bring this unique perspective of a family into it. You give it heart, you give it authenticity, which I don't, the outcome of a bunch of founders who've never had children coming before try to make a platform might be a little bit different. When you have real life experience, you understand this from just a whole other level. As your target audience lives in your house.
Yeah.
How has been handling that kind of workflow of the day-to-day life while being in this pandemic state, all working together from home, living at home? Do the lines bleed together, or do you have clear boundaries on how you guys go about your day?
We weren't really sure how this was all going to play out, to be honest. Pre-pandemic, Gerald worked, out of the house. I worked from home, and Gerald worked out of the house most days. We had some days where, we were in the same household working together. But when the pandemic came, it kind of threw us all for a loop. Not only were we working together 24/7 in the same house, but we also had, at the time, a 10-year-old that was now at home 24/7, and we had homeschooling that we were trying to coordinate. So it kind of threw us all for a loop. But overall, I think, given the situation and the circumstances were unprecedented. I think we're doing the best we can and overall just doing well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just adapting. I mean, I was worried about our son having things to do. He's a really active kid, and one of the things that he does is martial arts, and so his martial arts is now online as well, and doing that, via video conference has been interesting, but I think we're doing okay, and we also realize that we're fortunate. I think about parents with really young kids, right? And not having childcare is so difficult. And then, you think about people that are at higher risk for getting sick right now and seriously ill right now. So we also remind ourselves that we're really fortunate that we're in the situation that we're in, and that we have a business that we can run remotely.
And I think that's the biggest thing. We see so many people in the news or personal stories about people that are out of work or their businesses have gone under, and we're fortunate enough that we're in a business that, one, we can work from home, and two, that is sustainable during this difficult time.
That is absolutely a blessing. How incredible to have that. I think Albert and I would agree with you as well that it's been empowering to have something to get up and build every day and live for every day, and be able to pour ourselves into amidst all the chaos, and how traumatic some of the moments have been for us. And that's what I find the beauty in being able to turn to each other. I'm sure you experience this as well, and acknowledging when it's hard and feeling the joys together, and then kind of coming together over dinner and reflecting on all of it and saying, wow, what a day was that. Is it all divide and conquer between you guys? Do you often collaborate together, or do you definitely try to handle each of your expertises?
I think it's a combination of the two. There's definitely things that lean more towards our strengths and struggles, and so there are areas like for Candice in particular, the content review process. I mean, she owns that end to end. Consulted periodically, and then also for community and even interacting with our content creators is something that she drives on a day-to-day basis. For me, I'm more involved in a lot of our distribution, our some of our strategic deals and things like that. But the thing that we come together on all the time is content. At the end of the day, it's a content company. So when we're thinking about what we think is trending content, when we're looking at how we're going to plan out and map out our schedule for the TV channel, for our on-demand app, like those are things that we're constantly in communication about.
And even strategizing about what new influencers we want. I mean, we vet them heavily, and we, if someone comes across somebody that says, hey, this person, has potential. I mean, we pass it along to each other, and we, each person researches it separately, and then we come together and kind of give our opinion and what we think their value will be to Tanki. So, I mean, when it comes to content, I think that's our main source of collaboration. But yeah, like he said, we each have our strengths and struggles, and we're actually very opposite people. Even we're complete opposite, to be honest. Besides our core values, there's not much that is similar with us.
Yeah, and it's scientifically documented. We're
opposites
on the Myers-Briggs.
Prior to getting married, we took personality tests, and we are opposite on every single letter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that while it could be distracting or bad for some relationships, I think it works. We have been together 17 years now, just in July. And so it works great for us. Where he struggles, I, can pull us through, and where I struggle, he pulls me through. So it's
Yeah, and 17 years with me is probably closer to 35 or so. So
at least.
So you had already kind of, done the work in your marriage separately in your relationship to understand how to problem solve together. Do you apply that when there is a disagreement or a business decision you might not feel aligned on in Tanki?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I would say it's not a perfect process.
It's not 100%. Let's be honest. I mean, we are still human. Just yesterday, we were not getting along so great, business wise. So I told him, I said, good thing we're not doing this interview yesterday, because it would have been a different story.
There's a lot more tea.
Yeah,
I was like, there is some tea going on there then.
You would not have enough time for the tea. But but no, overall, I mean, we're human, we're married, we've been together for a long time. We have been quarantined basically 24/7 for the last 5 months. It's it's common to have problems, and it's anticipated to have problems and not be, lovey-dovey and congratulatory all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I do think though that us being together and understanding that sometimes we need to like walk away and take a minute has been really important. The other thing that I need to say too, just in terms of like how we interact together, what I've come to realize in this business, and like I'm very thankful for Tanki for this, is that like Candice has been a partner in the business, just as much as she's been a partner in life, right? So it's refreshing to be able to actually get to see her work through all these different business scenarios, help me, take this company from the 7 users or whatever we had the first day to, hundreds of thousands and stuff now. And so that's been really amazing for me, through this process. And even on days when we got a little more tea than others, I'm definitely thankful for that.
That's sweet. Thank you.
It's very sweet. I can hear it in your voices, though. I think that being able to candidly talk about the conflict and the struggle, I don't know, it's nice to be able to say, wow, it was a bit of a rough day yesterday. I'm glad we
well, and that was the conversation yesterday. We had our moment where we both were frustrated, but at the end of the day, we came and we said, hey, this was my frustration, and he said this was my frustration, and we figured out how we can move forward and deal and address these issues in the future. I think the key is communication. Mm-hmm. I know it's so cliche to say communication is the key, but honestly, it is. In relationships, in partnerships, business partnerships, it's it really, really is the key. And as long as I can deal with anything, as long as you communicate with me. It's the lack of communication that can cause issues on both ends. So I mean, mm-hmm. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think, and that's like the kind of the superpower that founders who have a relationship outside of their business can offer, is they understand how to communicate to each other on just a whole other level, and they're not afraid to problem solve and get through those moments because they have a relationship outside that is valuable to them, and they care about that person in a way that maybe 2 co-founders who just came together, that it's different, when you're going to go home and you're going to be sleeping next to that person tonight. So you better find a way to figure it out.
Yes. Yes. And I
Absolutely.
think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day is you figure it out, you make it work. Because obviously in this pandemic, no one's going anywhere. So you've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do to recharge together, after a long day of working on your business or as a family? I know that activities are limited right now, but what are the things you guys do to enjoy a bit of a recharge?
And since the three of us are together 24/7, I want to preface by saying that I think it's important for each of us to have our own moments to decompress. So we have created separate environments where we can each step away and have our alone time and do what we love. Like Gerald loves to watch esports and read and be a geek.
Yes, I do. For sure.
I enjoy, art and drawing and reading, whereas our son enjoys gaming, and it's something that we've had to kind of come to terms with. He loves gaming, obviously, but he is required to read in order to game. So it's all kind of just finding a new normal. He is an only child, so it's important for us for him to have that social interaction with his friends, and that comes through gaming. So maybe he gets a little more extra gaming time, but that's his socialization time. They talk over video games and they, can stay connected. So when they do start back school, he has maintained and even grown those relationships over this break.
Yeah, and I would say that pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, our favorite thing to do is to travel. So we really hope to get back to that. Yeah, we had a really cool trip to Korea last year, which is great. That's our son does a Korean martial art, and so that was great. So we're absolutely missing that right now during the pandemic. So I hope we can get back to that at some point in the future.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I mean, we're enjoying playing games together. We're enjoying movie nights, and we adopted 2 kittens during quarantine. So it has been, I think that I keep saying it, but they are our emotional support animals during this stressful time. It's not uncommon to see a cat in someone's lap some point throughout the day.
I couldn't agree more. I have a little Chiweenie. She's loving that we're home all the time, of course, and she's often in my lap as well during meetings. And you're right, it is emotional support. I look in her little eyes and I'm like, you have no idea what's going on. And you just love me, and I appreciate that.
It's huge. I remember somebody at the Black and Tech conference saying that we're not working from home, we're working from home during trauma, because of everything going on in the world. So it's really important to be able to recharge.
Gerald, you just kind of made me want to think about briefly touching on this. I didn't put it in my notes or anything, but before we say hi to Jaden and stuff, your family is, I'm sure, also been probably having conversations around this incredible social movement that's happening in our country right now, on top of this pandemic trauma. How have you guys been navigating conversations around race and equality in your household?
It's actually it obviously as a Black founder, my wife is Hispanic, our our son is both. Everything that's happened, whether it's Breonna Taylor to George Floyd, it's brought up a lot of things. I know for me in particular, and just memories, because I think for a lot of Black Americans, they weren't surprised. Like that's almost one of the worst the worst things to deal with is a lack of surprise on our side, and the rest of the world was really shocked. And so I think the positive that we've seen is that it has opened up a conversation that really, a lot of allies, a lot of other people have joined the conversation, have asked questions about it. And so I've been dedicating some time to actually speaking to some groups, both at companies and doing podcasts and chats to continue that conversation. And I do believe that this time there will be action, because at the end of the day, we started Tanki because of our son. And when you see brutality, you see these other things, it's just another thing that we need to protect our kids from. It's a world that you don't want your child growing up in, with things not changing. And so it's really shined a spotlight on the fact that we need to actively be anti-racism, and we need to have these difficult conversations. And so I'm really thankful for that. And I think that there's hope, but it's been one other tragedy on top of the coronavirus tragedy that has faced us here recently.
Indeed. I can imagine as well how rampant racism can be toxic on regular streaming platforms, and how children can be exposed to ideas that they frankly don't need to be.
That was actually one of the things that was really important about Tanki, is to have safe engagement. So we don't have any free text chat or direct messaging or anything. We actually let kids respond with emojis. So to keep it safe and entertaining, which is what our goal is.
Yeah, well, I'm really proud to both be speaking with you today. I mean, you are the future of work, and that is so exciting. I'm so curious to meet this famous Jaden. I did catch one of his interviews on YouTube. I would love to know Welzcat is. Is that
Welzcat?
Welzcat. Okay.
Gamer tag.
That's okay. There we go. Well, obviously, it's very apparent that your son has influenced your business in so many ways as it's grown and taken off. In its current state today, is Jaden still actively influencing the direction of where you're going to be taking Tanki in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we actually just grabbed a new game that came out yesterday for him to test out and give feedback on.
I mean, he comes to us and he says, "Hey, Mom, or Dad, my friends are playing this game. It seems really cool. Can you look into it?" And so we do the research, and we find influencers that are playing those games. And, we are out of tune sometimes with his generation. So he is our outlet, and he tells us, and same as the Pop Jam community, they tell us what is trending. I mean, the goal of Tanki was to really embrace and take in these kids' perspectives, as far as even the Tanki name and the Tanki logo. I mean, we polled his friends, we polled our godsons and our cousins and friends of friends, and kids have really been at the heart of everything that we do. So the fact that he is into gaming still and tells us, what is trending, has really, really helped us.
Yeah, we do have the famous Jaden in the room now, too.
Yes, the famous Welzcat.
There he is. Hi, Jaden. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Is your voice the voice of the audio tag that played right before the video that I watched? It was like, Tanki!
Yes.
That's you?
Yes.
That's
Still
awesome.
collecting royalties on that one.
Yes, forever.
Exactly. Jaden, I'm hoping you could tell us and our audience a little bit about what's trending right now? Like what is some, in your opinion, some of the most popular games or things that people are enjoying?
Probably like Minecraft and Fortnite, and probably the newest one is gonna be Fall Guys. There's been a lot of like big people doing it.
Cool. What's like your I only know a little bit of gaming lingo, I'll be honest. I didn't grow up much as a gamer, but my brother-in-law is very much a gamer. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's on there right now. What is I know that there's a couple different styles people like to play in, whether it's first person or I don't know all the lingo, but what kind of games do you like to play? Like, what's the style of them?
Probably like third person shooters and like PvP and stuff.
That's the word.
Battle
Cool.
royales.
Very cool. So you, what grade are you in?
I am going into 6th.
Going into 6th. Has school started back up for you yet?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Will you guys be going virtually from home right now? Like do you know what the plan is?
Virtually.
Virtually, wow. Would you say being in school virtually do you think you're good at it, or it's easier for you because of how much you love to game? Do you think that there's any similarities between those two experiences?
I don't really know.
You just made me wonder. I'm wondering, if kids are experiencing the same Zoom fatigue that I can say that I experience working virtually. It's long. I'm sure you guys know more than many of your teachers about how to use the internet in the virtual world.
Definitely.
He teaches us.
I bet. Jaden, what has it been like watching your parents build this company and create something that, was inspired by what you love to do and the relationship you have with your dad?
It's really been cool that they've made like app for like what I was going through when I was going through a lot of content that wasn't fit for me, and it made it that much easier to find a video that I really liked and that was comfortable for me, and my parents didn't have to look and see what I was watching.
It's pretty cool. So do you have friends that use Tanki and you can be like, oh yeah, we built that?
I definitely do.
That's awesome. Well, it's so nice meeting you. Can you tell, I pronounced your gamer name alias totally wrong. What is your alias name?
I'm a Welzcat.
Welzcat. That's cool. What does that name mean?
I really like fishing, and I like fish in general, and I want to be a marine biologist. And my favorite fish is called the Wells catfish, and I made my name like that.
That's very cool. Where do you find Wells catfish?
Spain.
An exotic catfish. Very cool.
Yeah, it's like the biggest.
It's like they can grow up to like
900 pounds.
6
Oh
to
my
900 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're crazy.
Yeah. We don't have any rod or equipment to fish for a Wells catfish. But
Oh, that is a fierce catfish. That's really cool.
Like up to like 8 feet long. I mean, longer than a body, and like up to 900 pounds. But yeah, so he took his gamer tag from that.
That's a fierce giant monster name you got there. That is really cool. Jaden, thanks so much for saying hi. I really loved being able to talk to you for a little bit. And Gerald and Candice, I'm so grateful for you being honest and open about what this year has been like, and what it's been like building Tanki as husband and wife and as a family. I think this is such an incredible product, and I cannot wait to see if little baby B in several years wants to become a little gamer, and we use this platform to stream content. something overwhelming to think about. I'm taking it one day at a time, but
one day at a time. That's all. That's
well, everyone, thank you so much, family, for being on Tea with Abby. Before we go, we always end with a statement sip, which is just a tip or something that our guests do or say. In the past, it was a mantra. We kind of touched on it a little bit of the ways you like to recharge and recover. Is there anything, a tip that you'd like to personally share with our audience about how you keep yourselves mentally healthy and sane through this year?
Yeah, I think for us, it really comes down to just sticking with our mission. And our mission as a company is to be heroes with and for kids everywhere. And I think in these times when everybody is so distanced, it's nice to remind yourself that you can actually go and do something great with and for the people around you. So yeah, so hey, if you can find the space, then be a hero, do something special for whoever it is or whatever cause it is. We need that now more than ever.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It was a pleasure. I'm giving you a virtual cheers from my water glass, not tea today. To our audience, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching Tea with Abby. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned. Smack that like button. See that like button? Smack it. Thanks so much for watching an episode of Tea with Abby. Be sure to click subscribe and smack that like button so you can stay tuned with new episodes all year long. And if you want to learn more about Blended Sense, visit us at our website, www.blendedsense.com, or follow us on social at Blended Sense or at blendedsense.io. See you next week.